Sure.
I don't need it, I can.
Karen, you all set?
Yes, thank
Do
you.
that one.
Camera people, all set?
Do what you want without that.
Thanks. Welcome to Selectmen's meeting for Friday, June 16th. First of all, happy summer to everybody. And can we all stand and salute the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we'll start off with our road agent. Hope you're feeling better.
I am, thank you.
You look like the picture of health. Come on down. I know it's a busy time of year for you, so welcome aboard. Why don't we let you begin?
Okay, well, we got started on the whole project for Durgan. We dug out some rocks and we've been cleaning up the culverts and the ditch lines. They were supposed to start paving, the grinding last Monday, but because of all the rain we had prior, they were behind about a week. So we're expecting them this Monday. And so hopefully that's, still on schedule. I haven't talked to them this week, but we also have started popping some of the rocks on the roadsides that are hazardous for the wings. I met with them yesterday, started actually drilling them yesterday, and they're working on them as we speak right now. Other than that, just the usual cleaning out beaver culverts and that type of maintenance. We did get the roads all graded, but when you have a lot of rain, they don't seem to last long, obviously, in the rain, but we did have them in good shape at one point.
I know there are some driveways up on Durgan where there were some issues relative to whether they're dumping out onto the road or not. And I haven't been up there recently. Are those still, there was one in particular, new one that the guy had a ledge problem or something with a culvert. Is that still dumping on the road?
That one actually never really dumped on the road. We didn't have any problems with it at all this year.
Okay.
He did the best he could to get a little bit of scallop there, which it did work. I have a little concern that it's got to be maintained on a regular basis, but it seemed like what he did help. We did explore on both sides. It is true that he does have ledge on both sides of the culvert, so the culvert's not going down any lower.
But can that be accommodated by the grade uphill to force the water off to the ditch as opposed to?
Yep, just by
So-
crowning, the simple
Yeah.
crowning.
Yeah, as opposed to allowing it to just go over the culvert and down onto the road.
Yep, it's gonna take, consistent maintenance, I'm sure yearly maintenance on his part. So far it's been working.
Good.
If they do wanna pave, I wanna be there when they pave,
Yeah,
just to make sure that we have that same theory working.
yeah.
Have you checked that out recently?
I'm not gonna say recently, but probably a month ago.
Last winter, the wall on the Ossipee side collapsed, and it's more than 50% blocked off, and it hasn't been corrected yet this year.
We were just up there cleaning the culverts the other day.
Where is this under him?
Here is the culvert. And the rocks are like this.
Well, I'll look at it again,
Yep. I'm gonna ask the board, has the board reviewed the requirements for driveways? They're on the permits. And that driveway does not meet the permit requirements.
I don't know which house we're talking about, Chairman.
well, there's no house as of yet.
Okay, this is where,
Do you have the folder that I gave you? Didn't bring it with you?
I did not bring it with me, but
which piece of property is this on?
it's up on Ledge Hill Road. I mean, on
Durgan.
Durgan Road.
As you tore around the corner,
Okay. On the right or the left?
on the right.
On the right, okay, so it's just a, I thought it was just a logging operation. There's actually a driveway going?
There was a logging operation, I think, on an adjacent piece of property, right?
I believe it was logging. Next, that was just around the sharp corner, around that big rock, or just before the big
Just
rock
before the
possibly.
big
But
rock.
this one's just over a little bit from it.
Okay.
It's just a small gravel driveway he's got going there.
Maybe when we're going by, we ought to take a look at it and talk about it the next meeting we meet.
Sure.
So there's a culvert installed, there's a driveway in, and what's your question, Chairman? Whether or not it's built to spec?
It's not built to the, I'm asking whether it's built to the specifications. Also, this winter, it caved in on one side and is substantially, because the culvert's blocked off. It was, as of this morning.
And there's no house there currently, so it's not, right? Are they, do they have a building permit for a house? I didn't see one.
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm not aware of it, but
So it's just the flow of water we're worried about. Okay.
Right.
Well,
And water moving onto the roadway
Yeah.
instead of staying in the ditch.
I have the folder right here. The attached photograph is not distinct. 3 rocks moved during the winter and block over 50% of the culvert.
That's less one.
All right, great, thank you.
That picture's not distinct.
yeah, 'cause is that the culvert right there that looks?
Right here, the rocks have fallen down, and this is the culvert. I apologize, the person who took the picture.
So that's something you pick up in the cleaning operation? When you say you clean them culverts?
Yep, yep. It is the responsibility of the landowner to maintain their culverts, but, correct.
Driveway permit has never been finalized.
No, I haven't signed off on it yet.
And it's very clear in Tufton Borough, the driveway permit says a finished driveway surface must slope away from the existing roadway surface elevation at a rate of not less than 1 inch per foot for a minimum distance of 4 feet, or to the existing center line of the ditch, whichever is greater distance. Before rising in elevation, it need to make a swale for the surface runoff. It's not so much this driveway here, but since he's been road agent, we've had to send him down to fix driveways that were put in improperly and forgotten about. And, you know, and he worked magic on County Road to his credit. A guy, remember the guy couldn't even pull out, without banging his car and whatnot.
And was there a conflict about the driveway or the road that's going in on Ledge Hill Road, just before the crest of the hill on the right?
Now, that's another issue. Are we done with this issue here? You'll look into it and get back to us?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll look into it. I'll talk to him again and see what we can do, but, he's limited with the ledge.
Well, on that point there, if I could be allowed to make a comment. This guy here is building a house. You're paid to put the septic system in, and you find ledge. Can you go put the septic system in any way you want?
No?
No, you have to meet, the rules and regulations. And it's nothing against this guy here, but, and this is what I'm struggling with. I'm trying to balance the two. Okay? So please don't take it personal. It's not adversarial
No,
here. It's,
I get it.
it's,
Yeah, there are plenty of excavators in the local communities with hammers. So,
Yeah. It would take you a while to hammer that one out.
well, you're only looking at, what, a 12-inch culvert, or
Yep.
18-inch culvert, so it's not a lot.
Yeah, you might be better off to dynamite that one, I think.
You might want to wonder about that, the road agent, about that sort of activity.
okay, the next issue was the driveway on Ledge Hill Road, just down from between Winter Circle Farm intersection and Schoolhouse Lane, right?
Schoolhouse Road, right?
Yep.
There's some question about the location, I guess, I wasn't,
My research is that was a temporary driveway 5 years ago for logging, and there continues to be work, they brought sand in and whatever. It's my understanding that that lot has a place for the legal driveway to go where it's been surveyed. Is that your understanding?
I'm not positive, to be honest with you, how that is supposed to be set up, but I know that, you know, he asked about that, you know, is that okay? I said, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it seemed okay, because the closer you get to the hill, I think the more blind it becomes. As far as how much time you have from the time you see the car till he's right there at the driveway. I stood in both areas around that whole
It's not
thing.
limited, I mean, it's got all that frontage. You could move it further
Oh,
towards
yeah,
the
no, there's
school.
wetlands, he can't move it any further towards the school, unfortunately, I guess that's considered wetlands.
Okay. I mean, there are ways around that as well. But, my only question was whether or not it's in the right spot, as per the plan that was approved by the planning board.
My understanding is that it is not, but I have not researched it enough or had it, you know, in writing. Is that something you can check on and get back to us?
Yep, I can research that, but at the same time, if it shows documentation that it's supposed to be up further, but you have less time to react to a car pulling over the hill.
Then that's a planning board issue, right?
Yeah,
And a road agent get together on these things, right?
yeah, the planning board needs to alter their plan. I mean, we need, that's why we have a planning board. They make decisions. He brought the plan before them and got it approved, so obviously, at that juncture, that's what he wanted to do. Now he wants to change something, he needs to go back to the planning board and say, I need to make this change. You know, or why have a planning board? We're just gonna get
Sure.
approvals and do whatever we want.
I think everyone on the board is sensitive to driveways cost money, but
Mhm.
building houses cost money too.
Well, I don't think it's gonna cost any more or less, whatever it is. It's, you know,
I can lay some light on that driveway if you want.
Come on in.
Shed light.
Okay, so he moved it for logging, but it's not where it's supposed to be for the subdivision. And he went and spoke to Jim Rhines, who actually did the subdivision plan for the driveway, and Jim Rhines is not willing to move it because it actually has better sight visibility up higher where it was designed, because when you come off the road, you actually look over the crown, you can see the cars before they come over the crown.
Not when I stood there and looked at
So
it.
Jim is not willing to move it because of sight visibility.
So,
He called me and told me that, so.
Oh, he did.
Because the Transheaters actually approached him to move it to where they actually have it built, and he said he would not move it on their plan because of the site visibility.
And that's what the planning board made their decisions on?
Well, that subdivision is well before me, it's a subdivision on paper that's been here a while, but White Mountain Survey is the ones that designed it, and that's where they put it because of the visibility, so.
And if the road agent and the selectmen have concerns, who do we voice those to?
The landowner, and then if their designer is not willing to move it because of site visibility, and the selectmen want it moved, I don't know who pays for it. Because the engineering will have to be redone, so.
yeah, I mean, I don't think,
Well, the state has guidelines for visibility on driveways.
Right, on state roads.
Right,
300 feet.
right.
The rule of thumb is for every 10 miles an hour, 100 feet visibility.
On the state
At
road,
any
they want
rate,
400 feet.
there was a professional licensed engineer who did the plan.
Yeah.
And said this is
If
where it
we
should be.
want-
If we want it to be someplace else,
We,
then,
we need to hire a professional licensed engineer, and I don't think I'm not interested in doing that, I mean.
Correct.
I mean,
You know, they did approach him, and Jim Rhines actually called me about it, and he
Yeah.
said he's not willing to move it because it was designed that way for a reason.
So,
So the current driveway is not in the.
Is
ultimate
not where it
location.
is, correct, and if they do that subdivision, they have to move it where it has to be, or get a different engineer and do the whole thing. So,
And is
back
there,
to the planning board. and go,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
but a temporary driveway can be there in perpetuity? You know,
Well, they're still
it's
using
been-
it to access the
It's been over
property.
5 years, right?
No, that's a logging right of way. Right, those are different.
Okay.
It's not a driveway. I mean, you have the ability to go into logging property. And loggers have a lot more latitude about where they put things. And they've had a great run of lobbying at the legislature, so.
Well, and the other thing is generally when logging is done, you see signs out toward either away from where their access is to alert people of the fact that
This
the
logging.
logging trucks are coming and going, which you don't have from a normal driveway. And my guess is that's in part to recognize that you don't necessarily meet safe criteria for access on and off the road at a spot where it is the best spot to do your logging. So you sign it and you do all this other stuff to help everybody be safer, so that there's a recognition of what's going on. So, Jack, are you aware of any time frame on moving this thing?
No, because it was just put in there for temporary access for logging and stumping and all that. It has nothing to do with the subdivision part, so.
Right, but there's been some conversation about installing the regular access point.
If they're going to improve what's there, yeah, they're going to improve it where it goes, not improve it where it is now and then dig it all up and move it again, so.
Okay,
And speaking of Ledge Hill Road and drainage, is the Jim Duke's old house where they've done all that work down?
They're putting a pool in the back right now, so they're using it. a little
But
bit.
that driveway's coming out, is that?
As far as I know, yeah.
Because they didn't put a culvert in there.
No, I know they didn't, yeah. And I'm gonna talk to them about that when they're all said and done with the pool, but I'm sure they either get a driveway permit, put a culvert in it, or take it out.
Yeah. I think it was the original road into the.
It was the original
So,
driveway,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm not
Well, the thing
offended
is,
by
they-
the road as much as the lack of culvert.
Right, and what happened was, they paved their driveway ahead of time, didn't want the trucks going over the new pavement, so they
Right.
went around behind the house.
Those two driveways,
Culverts,
yes.
driveways.
Every town I go to, junk cars and culverts are
Yeah.
always an issue. The paving projects are two of them? Durgan Road? and-
Yes, yep, Durgan and Union Wharf, they're still
Um,
on schedule.
I think I heard you speak about Durgan Road, or someone quoted, excuse me, Union Wharf. Doesn't make sense to do the first coat and then delay going back. So I like your strategy there.
I did talk with Frank Carroll from FR Carroll, and he agrees that we should probably get it done with this year and continue on as far as we can go with the Durgan.
And does he have an estimate for the two projects?
He does. I don't have that with me at the moment.
Can his company also do
The shouldering?
The shouldering?
They are gonna do the shouldering. I told them, I don't think we need it when they do the top coat here, because we're probably only looking at an inch and a half. I think we'll be fine. I don't think we should spend the money on it unless we find a problem with it. But as far as up there, that is part of the plan. He's gonna shoulder it for us.
You're still figuring that we're only gonna get to the top of the hill on Durgan.
Roughly, he said we might get over it a little bit, but it won't be too far down. And I'm almost wondering too, at that point, if it makes sense to stop in the middle of the hill like that, you know?
I don't know.
The conventional wisdom is you
That's
do
why
the
you're the
entire
road
hill.
agent.
Well, I don't like the idea of, though, you know, exactly, I don't know, the different pavement surface
Mhm.
going up a hill. I'd rather have it stop at the top, to be honest with you, and then do the rest of it all in one shot next year.
Yeah, because.
It seems like a natural segment.
Correct, yes.
And everything at the beaches, it looked like it was all set to swim. Down the 19-mile bay. Is there any more work that you needed to do down there?
I'm still waiting for a sign. I'm just thinking it should be in for the handicap parking sign. That should be in this week. But we did get the parking, no parking signs up.
As you go into the beach, here's the paved road. And this is dirt, and there's no parking signs along here. Any need for no parking signs here? It's where the wood starts.
That would probably be a good question for Gina. I'm not sure if she has a problem with that.
Would you work with her on that? Knowing how busy you were, Jack has got some prices for replacing the wood and has some engineering ideas. Your guys can only be so many places, at once, so,
Well, we had talked about actually subbing that out.
yes. And he's got a price and the cost of materials, and will give it to us at our next meeting.
Yeah,
He's
because I
working
think,
on it.
you're pretty busy.
Yep,
Is it
we
a
are.
job that you want to do?
I was gonna do it, but then I guess I got a note from you asking if
At the last meeting, we brought it up, and out of fairness, would you give Jim a note? We didn't need to go off without communicating with you, and you've already started the project, so.
yeah.
If you don't mind.
Nope, no, not at all, absolutely. I mean, we got plenty to do.
Question came up when we were doing the joint loss tour the other day about who rakes the beach. Is that Parks and Rec?
It used to be volunteer
Yeah.
by,
It was
what's his name, Benson?
Ben's.
Oh,
Ben-
Ted Benson,
Benson,
yeah,
yes.
okay.
I don't know if he's still doing it or not.
He hasn't even been coming to the meetings, and I saw him the other day, and I think he's winding down.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, Parks and Rec needs to.
Yeah, and the other question was about the rope off at the Melvin Beach. The swimming area used to be roped off. It was not roped off when we did our tour up there.
There's a new rope that I haven't got from Gina yet.
Okay.
And
So
some
you installed the rope,
floats.
is that right?
Yes, we
Okay.
installed the rope.
Thank you.
So it will be roped off, it's just not yet.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. We gotta get the rope
Perfect.
from her and change all the floats from the old rope to the new rope. And we try to do that when it's calm,
Yeah.
as far as you
And
can't
warm.
see the blocks down below.
And
Right.
one,
Well,
Yeah.
What a batch of turtles up there too,
what's that?
up at the Melbourne Wharf.
Oh, you saw turtles there? That-
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite a bunch of snapping turtles up there. And we got some signage from Fish and Game. How are we doing on Beach Pond boat launch?
Oh, actually, I mentioned, I had a note, I guess, written, if you could show us where the placements for those signs would be, so I don't put them in the wrong spots. I don't know if you guys got that note?
I did tell him verbally, yeah,
Oh.
for these signs here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Maybe the day I went to pick them up, I was like, I don't want to put these out without
Right.
having the correct locations for them. I'm a little
Okay.
unsure of where they all go.
Do you have any thoughts? Wayne?
Well, I think the boat launch part of that needs to be close to where the boat launch is gonna be.
Do you want
And
it
then,
in that area, or like off to one side or the other, or how do you want to put that?
probably, yeah, one side or the other, but, I mean,
At the edge of the area where the river comes in, there's a tree, right?
yeah,
Right, so I would think a post adjacent to that tree so that it's not blocking the access, but you can't miss seeing it when you come in. So as you're standing on the road on the culvert looking toward the pond, to the right,
Right.
yeah,
and please park in this area, and the vehicles beyond there. Take your pick. On the car top parking, that can be anywhere along that area that we had to remove the boulders. So that we don't have boat trailers parking, I mean, that's the reason for that sign. In other words, if somebody launches a boat there, we don't have a car and a trailer sitting on the side of the road.
so what does the sign say?
Car top parking, car top boat launching.
So if we don't want trailers parked there, maybe we ought to say no trailer parking. rather than car top park. I don't know, just thinking out loud.
How specific do we have to be?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember seeing a boat trailer there, so
Right,
I've seen a lot of pickup trucks where they slip the boats out of the back of the truck.
Last winter, before the rocks were moved,
Mhm.
I saw a snowplow coming one direction. I was following a school bus, and from the bridge back toward Wolfboro. And the snowplow came by okay, the school bus picked the kids up at the next intersection. There were 14 vehicles parked next to the rocks. 4 of them had snowmobile trailers.
Oh, right.
And there was absolutely no sign there, and there was no issue with safety.
So it's your suggestion that we don't worry about the car top poster? or
I don't think it makes a difference where it goes.
Yeah. I'm not certain how enforceable any of it is
Right.
from
Yeah.
the standpoint of the,
I mean, I'm thinking of, I'm by that place at least once a week, once every 10 days in the winter, and I never had a problem with the condition of the roads, the parking, vehicles coming the other way. I had, of all the places we have road issues, there never was one on Brown Road, with the rocks where they were.
well, the rocks have been moved.
And it's even better now.
well, how about if we not put a parking sign up at this point and just kind of put the boat launch sign up? I mean, that makes,
Okay.
that's the standard.
Yeah.
Any place you're putting boats in, reminding people, let's not be moving weeds from one place to another.
Right.
And we'll just monitor what's going on up there.
And what about the 2 non-metal signs? Can we take a look at them? Are those our responsibilities now? There's another one underneath them.
Please park in this area, and I think that has the Fish and Game logo on it
Yeah.
And does the landowner have to sign that, or are we the landowner because it's a public way?
here. I think just more. No
Yeah.
vehicle parking beyond this point, foot traffic only.
Yeah, I think he just sent us a selection of signs.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that
Yeah.
makes more sense then.
Anglers,
English.
do not cut or damage trees, carry out all trash.
I remember one of those signs when this controversy first came up, and I went and looked at the mess that was up there. One of these signs had been ripped in half, but there was a resemblance of one. Is that our responsibility to,
Well, good
work with
behavior
Fish and
really
Game?
isn't our responsibility, but I think we should put that up.
you know,
Okay, so,
the angler sign, yeah,
what a English
I
sign,
think that makes sense,
and not the car top.
right?
And again, is that gonna be somewhere
And,
on a post next to the rocks, in the middle?
Yeah. Don't we
um,
have a sign, a parking sign up there, or a no parking? I remember there was some signage on that.
I don't think it was a no parking sign.
It had something to do with boat launching or something like that, wasn't it?
Well, we can put that angler sign on the same post with the,
Okay.
Put the big boat launch sign, yeah.
need what, a board to back it on or something?
Yeah,
You'll engineer it
yep, that's.
in your workshop?
Yeah, yeah, I think we have a piece of plastic that I can cut and run it to.
and have we gotten the riprap in to stabilize that bank?
I have not yet.
Okay.
We'll do that next week. I was trying to get some stuff ready.
I'm sure you weren't sitting around watching television. My only question was when. 'Cause,
Okay.
You know, people are gonna ask me when. I can say next week.
Yep.
I'm happy.
Yeah, because we'll have to get off the road up there at Durgan for that too.
All set with Brown Road? How's Lang Pond Road, the new construction, is it all holding up?
Yeah, you know, I guess the weak part for me would be where they put the crushed stone along the side. Obviously, that's gonna have to be replaced maybe every other year or something to that effect. But not a hard thing to do.
Well, what that was is basically a trench to drain the water off. And goes down below the frost line, and I think once every 5 years, that needs, might need to be dug up, and, because it will fill up with sand, right?
Correct.
If I remember the committee's recommendations, the engineer it's part of the maintenance.
Yeah, the plan I remember actually showed more of a square with like riprap in it. And you
Yeah.
definitely had no choice but to dig that out and replace it.
A lot better than, remember the original plan for 485,000? Make it 22 feet wide and
Yeah, that was a
raise
big
it.
project.
Raise it. Some signs. The only thing is, I noticed it was a bad winter on signs and you've gone over on your budget. But that project there, it comes out of the encumbered funds, doesn't it?
I guess it could.
Right.
Yep.
And there's what, a need for a couple speed signs, and what were you gonna do, put delineator post on each side of the cement abutments for the culverts?
We have done that.
Yeah.
They do get damaged
Right.
to right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
One of the things the committee asked about is go back toward Wolfboro, and there's a turnaround,
Yes, we're gonna clean that
and
up.
there's a rain garden there.
Yep, clean up the rain
You
garden.
might want to check with Gene Kelly. He's supposed to be getting the name of the people who did the rain gardens at Merrill Lake on their private road. I don't know if there's a special technique, or we could combine services, or whatever. The one on Merrill Lake Drive isn't your responsibility, but trying to think, that one there hasn't been cleaned up
It's
ever.
held up well though.
Yeah.
But normally you just go in with the backhoe, scoop it up, throw it in the back of the
Yeah.
truck, and then bring back some riprap, place it in there.
Okay.
It shouldn't be too big of a job.
Would it be appropriate, as the snow plows go down and turn around there, they keep pushing the gravel embankment? Does it make sense to pull some of that gravel back and slope it toward the rain garden?
I can look at that.
And the other
see if
thing
it's
is
possible.
that the committee asked, at some point, does it make sense to pave that turnaround area and that small segment between what was phase 1 and phase 2? I think you
talked
recommended
about
that.
paving from where Wolfboro stopped.
To together paper, yeah,
I think that would make a lot of sense.
yeah.
Because that's not an easy one to maintain.
And
Is that anything that could be done this year? Because we can use the encumbered funds.
yeah, if you get a price on it, it may very well fit in what's left.
I
of
did
it.
ask Frank Carroll about that, I brought him out there and showed
Yeah.
him. He didn't think that was probably something that he said it was better suited for a smaller company, so.
Yeah, whoever did the paving down there
I'm not
for
sure
the
who did that.
project, was it Bryant that did the paving? Jack would probably remember. Anyway, yeah, it's not, it's hardly a big road paving project. By the time you mobilize what Carroll does to get all that equipment in there.
And
it's-
that's how he said,
Right.
it might be cheaper. He said it would be cheaper,
Yeah.
actually. if we-
Do you think it makes sense to do those two projects at the same time? The turnaround and the...
Probably get a better price on them, sure.
You know, especially where we have the funds for it. I think we have the funds for
Great.
Well, we should get a price and see if
Yes.
we can
Yes.
match it with our
Right.
encumbered funds.
it. Yeah.
So we'll get a price on the segment that's missing and the
On the turnaround.
Okay.
All set on that?
Yes.
HEB sent a request and wants to meet with the selectmen about future bridges. Is that something you want to be included on?
Sure.
They're an engineering company. I think they were the one, didn't they,
We did County Road. Bridge.
County Road, and also didn't they engineer High Street?
Yeah. High Street culvert.
HEB, the same one that did the engineering for Lang Pond?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the project that sticks in my memory. That they did.
Bergeron.
Yes.
Yeah,
They also
Right.
did Zaddy Farms, right? They were involved in
I
that.
don't know.
I don't know.
Any other issues you have?
No issues, but I know you had a note for me. around May 3rd, we purchased some grass seed from Spiderweb Gardens for, it says $50. That was changed to $145. What project is this for? It really wasn't changed from $50. It was a 50-pound bag that we got. That's why there was a little bit of a mix-up. But we bought that.
Is the 145 the correct figure?
Correct.
I want to make sure we pay our bills.
Yep.
And I check with you
Yep.
because you itemize everything, so.
But what that was is I got it early in May because we needed to, I spot treated for where we fixed the snowplow damage. We threw out some seed. But instead of buying 5 pounds, it's a lot more expensive to buy 5 pounds at a time as opposed to 50 pounds. And then we used it up on Durgan. This past week, we used it
I
up
saw
there.
it.
And we still actually have some left out of that 50-pound bag, so we have enough to hopefully complete whatever we need to do for the summer.
I wanted to make sure that you didn't purchase 50 and all of a sudden you're surprised you're missing $145. So
Well,
but thank you for responding.
Yep.
Before I bring anything else, anything you folks have? I want to talk about budgets.
Yeah, that's the next issue.
You went to FEMA. Did you learn anything from them? Are we going to get any money?
I don't know, Adam was there asking. Adam and I were both there,
No.
but
Just summarize.
yeah, it sounds like we might. I think Adam had a better feel for it than I did, but
Well, it impacts you two people the most, and, you know, you guys are being vigilant, and
yep, no, we filled out our paperwork so that we're on the list. We did it that day, and we turned it in. So it had to be done by the end of this month, so we just did it that day while we're there. So our paperwork is turned in. They're going to be contacting us from here out to. It's a process by the sounds of it. It's not a 5-minute process.
well, you know, thank you for the investment of your time. If we get any money back.
Well, I hope we do.
One of the questions I have of you, one of the questions I have of Adam is, when we have emergencies like this, and I think in your life, our lifetime, we've had 5 or 6 microbursts or tornadoes that have touched part of Tuftonboro. So, you know, it's not a once in 100-year occurrences. What can the Board of Selectmen do administratively to make sure that, oh, yes, this is an emergency? You know, do we have to declare a state of emergency or close down or whatever? So keep your radar out on that. We want to make sure that we don't do things that when FEMA says, well, you didn't even bother to close down, you know, the town, so how can it be an emergency? I don't know, but I don't know how FEMA works. So, does my question make sense or my comment make sense?
It does, and actually, now I have to follow up with another question. One of the things that Adam and I both talked about was, does it make sense to take that money from emergency management to pay back to what we had to do? And then when we get reimbursed, hopefully, we should, it goes back into the management fund, because right now, there's no way to put money, if we collect that money, it doesn't go back into our fund for this year.
Doesn't go in anybody's fund,
Goes
as I
into the general
understand it. Well, it goes into the general fund, but we cannot spend in excess of the total budget.
Right.
Okay, so wherever we have the money, once
Okay.
we've spent money in the budget, even if we get reimbursed, we don't get to spend twice. See what I'm saying?
Okay, all right, I guess I
So-
So
misunderstood
taking
that.
it out of emergency management might make sense only in stabilizing your ongoing expenses.
Right, and identifying that this is where we're spending it as opposed to we're just overspending what we normally do. So,
Okay.
By law, we can't spend more money that was voted on at town meeting, the last warrant article. We can't spend, the only way we can do that is to go to Superior Court and petition or have another special
Well, you
town
have to
meeting.
go to town meeting.
yeah,
Okay, I guess I didn't realize that when I was thought of the emergency fund.
yeah.
That kind of made
If
sense.
we had money budgeted to cover it, then we can spend that. But whatever we spend, we're capped at the total amount that's approved by town meeting. So if we have a significant emergency expense, yeah, you have to have a special meeting to authorize that.
And they did say that we have up to 6 months to continue with any work that needs to happen. And I still feel like we should probably grind all the stumps on the trees that are so close to the roads, and that could maybe be reimbursed as well.
Well, I think I'd like to see a little reimbursement before we spend more money.
Well, this segues into the next issue, is it's been a tough year, and you always play it close to the dollar, and, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items on your budget you've already gone over. That's not an indictment, that's
No, I
not a
understand.
personal attack.
Yep.
Like this. But we need to work together. What is the strategy? Because we're still gonna have a winter coming up. Winter, for example, we've already spent 87% of the budget.
The winter
So-
budget, yeah.
And I realized that there were 40 some odd storm incidents last winter over the few months, and normally we budget for 22, so, I understand all the math there. But, for example, I think one thing that can help is the work that normally came out of your budget to do the edges of the road, that can come out of a warrant article, right? Because it's part of the tarring and shimming, right?
We have done that, yeah, we've
Yes.
always kind of done that,
Right.
actually.
Where else can we talk about saving or reorganizing or whatever? What are your thoughts? And
Well, I think the summer budget just has to be less, that's the only option at this point.
like, we go back, spring budget, you just had to clean up and, you spent a quarter again. Excuse me, we spent a quarter again because we signed off on the bills. So summer is just gonna have to be, and we're already a quarter through that. It's June 14th, so.
Yep.
Any strategies you have? Can road striping, for example, be done under the warrant article?
That would be a good question to look
Yeah,
at.
it
But it limits the amount of paving you're gonna get done. I mean, we can allocate money for roads, but
The $235,000 that we spend to do road reconstruction, paving, whatever, and improvement, every year, we pretty much spend everything that's there. So if we're talking about moving other things in there, then
We're
we're
gonna
gonna
do
do
less
less paving.
paving or less
Well,
construction.
the paving is pretty much a set, we're,
185?
no, it's gonna be 200 to get what we need to get done. That includes the shouldering, we're at 200.
Yep. Well, here's where, you're mixing and matching, so, and I'm only asking.
When you were talking with Adam about this FEMA, I mean, what's the number? How much money are you looking to recover?
Well, I think right now, how much, what is our budget for? I know it's gonna change, because I still have a little bit more to do, but on tree removal, we're looking for 18,000 at this point. I still wanna do those stumps, to be honest with you, whether it comes, I think it should be put underneath that, tree removal for now. And again, we'll have to make up for it out of the summer if we need to, but it's, hopefully we're gonna get reimbursed for it, but also it's a safety issue. I think those stumps, when you cut them down, they're just this high. That's really, hard to see when we get snow, and it's gonna cause damage. I think that it's money in the bank by taking the time to get rid of the
And how
stumps
much
now.
to do the stumps?
I'm thinking it's probably around $1,500 to $2,000 to get rid of them all. I don't have an exact count on them at this point, but.
So I think the only opportunity, I think, would be to utilize the emergency management money.
Well, there's another option. I found out in a meeting when we were down for the Chief Shigori that Chris Sununu has passed legislation, or was working on it, that the block grant for roads, remember, they take the number of miles a road and so many cents a mile and all that, and there's a possibility that might be doubled. It's not guaranteed, but
But that doesn't, we still can't spend that money
Yeah,
if it
it's
isn't
not this year.
authorized.
I agree, but at least it,
I mean,
It helps us down the
affects-
road.
it
No
affects
pun
the-
intended.
It affects the tax bill.
yes.
Okay, if we get the revenue from someplace else, but we can't spend money that comes in that we're not authorized to spend regardless of if we have a windfall.
Correct.
Well, until we budget for it, which would be next year.
Next year, right. But to your point about the roadside tree stumps, that's an issue that needs to be dealt with before we plow,
Correct.
right? Because once they're covered up with snow, you don't see them.
Yeah, and I don't want to do it in the frozen as well.
Right.
On that line, you have tried over the years, as you've had some money, is to make the roads, as you open them up, more sunlight gets in, it's less impact points for cars, it's better drainage, you break up the rocks, it's faster mowing,
That's
you know,
something too.
all of those things. I was talking to a logging truck driver that if not this year, maybe next year, has a service that might help the town, but I'll do up a white paper and send it to you, okay?
Great, excellent.
That type of thing, and he came to me, so
Oh, excellent.
I don't know if there's money in the budget this year, but, you know, and I'm not putting a tease out there for tune in later,
Okay.
but, anything on budgets?
Well, I mean, I guess we all have to voice our concerns,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be an ongoing vigil, I guess, to watch this thing play out, because I don't know how you're gonna do it without cutting back on something. I'm fully on board if you need to, or if we wanted to utilize some disaster funds that we have in our budget to do some road work, that, I'm fine with that, and hopefully we'll get reimbursed for it.
That would be great if the money is available. I mean, maybe we have to kind of wait to see, a little bit closer to the end of the year to see if that money is still available. But
Yeah,
if that's an option, that'd be great.
yeah, definitely put in a plan for that.
I mean, I can ask Diane to come up with how much money's been spent through today's checks, and how many weeks are there left in the year, and what is the balance in your budget, and if it comes out to $7,222, you know what that, you can only spend that per month. Unless there's another way of doing it, I don't know, but she can make that information available.
I mean, certain,
Well, there's
certain
some,
parts of the budget are one-time occurrences, and he's done a lot of that.
Yes.
But it doesn't account for the fact that we're running a little bit,
yeah,
over
there,
the top.
right. And there is some road maintenance that clearly you can't just say, we're not doing it.
Yeah,
The snowstorm dumps on the roads, you're not gonna say, I'm sorry, I'm not plowing today, I don't have any money. So we've gotta make some provision, you know, set aside to handle that stuff as it comes. I don't know what other,
Yeah.
you
But the
know,
mowing maybe could be cut back, the roadside mowing. We do have it scheduled for 4 weeks this year.
yeah.
Maybe that could be cut back to,
Your sand and salt budget, whether or not you can split that up, or is that not something you can,
the salt budget.
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I know it's
I
nice.
know-
We're gonna have to,
shed.
we're gonna need some for winter for sure.
yeah. And I know often, as we get toward the end of the year, that's a time to build up the inventory, sand and salt for the winter, particularly if there's money in the budget that will allow you to fully fill the sheds. Don't know in terms of pricing and logistics, if deferring some of that until after the first of the year. The budget,
Kind of the game that we've been playing for the last couple of years, but we've been deferring to after the first of the year. I was hoping that wouldn't happen again this year, but it's possible. And at the same time, sometimes that's a great, January, beginning of January is a great time for us to spend the time to truck the sand and mix it all up and put it away, because that's not always our busiest time. January, beginning of January is usually
not when we
that
have not when we have our worst storms,
correct.
for the most part, yeah.
And maybe it's time, I mean, not to put any more on your plate, but I mean, you need to look at the last 5 years, the last 10 years of October to December and see what the actual expenses were for winter maintenance.
Last year I did that, and then for the last 8 to 9 years, the average is 35 to 40% is pre-December 31st. The remainder is after December 31st.
35 to 40% of what?
Of the budget,
The winter maintenance budget.
Yes.
Winter maintenance?
yes. We've had a couple of years where it didn't
Well, we're way
snow.
over 40% now.
Or just for this year, we're 86%.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so, and that's from January 1,
Exactly,
which is not so far away from December 31st.
right.
Right.
But we had a really bad December last year,
Mhm.
and immediately we were filling the sand and salt shed like January 1st. We ate up a lot, which didn't help us in the whole budget.
Speaking of sand, when you're, I apologize, I'm not micromanaging, and if you take, I apologize. When the truck takes the glass down,
Yep,
instead of coming back empty, can it come back with either a load of material for road building or a load of sand? That way we're not paying the same amount for gas?
Are we picking up the sand ourselves? We don't just,
well,
I
we got
delivered-
sand from multiple places last year, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, here's where he's been smart. In my mind, he gets sand from a number of vendors, so if one closes down, he's not stuck. I know that's been your strategy for years,
Same
and
with the- yeah, the
it's a
salt.
smart strategy in my mind. Just a thought, okay?
Yeah, I'll think into that, a little bit about that.
Because the
to see
glass
if it's
material
right.
that gets ground up, we can use in culverts, and it can be stockpiled, correct? As long as the material isn't on the surface, it can be used for fill around culverts and.
Which we are using,
driveways.
we're using it today, we're actually doing this today, we are using it.
Yeah.
So, the yard is only so big, and I didn't want to make a giant pile of glass, so I was trying to,
The other thing is, I think Clay might have a spot for you. If you want,
did he?
To store materials?
yes,
Oh,
just a thought,
fantastic.
just a thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we will be bringing back glass on the next strip for sure, we're gonna use it.
Here is where,
Load
here is
in the
where,
next couple days.
here is where, at $38 an hour is what we pay for a driver, because the truck is already bought. And we were paying over 200 for a 10-wheeler to go down from the private sector, so, here's where your snowplow you use in the winter helps us non-winter too, so.
All right.
Can I get back to mowing? I did some research a while ago. We have 35 miles of roads that we mow, and that's 70 lane miles. And last year, and if you were to mow, that would take 22 days at 8 hours, 176 hours. That's 2.5 miles a day, which with our roads where there's rocks and stumps and still logs, well, that's pretty fast if I remember when I used to mow. That does not include your guys driving over the state roads to get there and putting signs out and all that. In the last 5 years, we spent 92, 85, 57, 89, and last year was 16,005 for roadside maintenance. That included rental, operator, fuel, etc.
so close to twice as much
Yes.
for when,
We did,
was there twice as much mowing?
well, we've never actually been able to accomplish all of it in one season. So we had to do some roads that hadn't been mowed in a year or two. And again, if it starts to get to be, taller brush, it goes a little bit slower. Plus, we actually spent some time and we went around with the backhoe and moved rocks and trees and, logs, stumps. So that was included in as well, because we're like, if we don't get this thing cleaned up, it's just continuously always gonna take a long time. So our goal was, we talked about it a little bit last year, if we get at least a little done every year, that each year should go a little faster. And it will look nicer as well, and so that was,
And is this the same company that we leased from last year?
it is, yes.
Because you had 1 year there where a couple of companies went belly up and you never knew about it because they never returned your phone calls, right?
We found out about it because the equipment went to auction. And that's when we kind of realized, we're
Oh,
probably
okay.
not gonna be getting that. And they supplied all the towns around us and the state. And all of a sudden, it was like an overload, everybody trying to find another vendor.
Yep.
And we were limited to how long you could have it. I think they said, I think they gave us 10 days. They said, you can only have it 10 days. That's the best we can do for each town. It's like, yeah, but we seem to be okay with this guy. He seems to be on top of it.
Now, you use one operator, or can you split the day with two operators? You gotta have the
tried
right, you gotta
that.
have the right guy, don't you?
You do. It's an
It's
easy
not
piece
worth
of
it right
equipment
now.
to damage, and we don't want to damage it. So I have one guy that's very good at it.
And you don't tempt fate.
We've tried it, let's just put it that way. We've tried it, and there's not as much gain from it as you think. If one guy is much faster at it than the others.
Well, I began thinking about it, and it still takes so many hours a day to sharpen things and tighten things and whatever.
They only allow you 40 hours a week too. If you go over on the hour meter, you get charged for that. So you can't do double shifts,
Right, right.
And does that include driving it to
Correct,
the end of Tufton Borough Neck?
correct, yeah. But actually, believe it or not, that tractor moves right along. It would probably only take 15 minutes to get there from the township. It's not,
Are there any areas that you will include, for example, the entrance to the dump and also the parking area in the mower?
we have done
Do you remember those
that.
areas?
I believe we hit that last year for him. We did all that last year.
I know Clay was offered to buy the guy a pizza at the state with a big Kubota. Have you seen that?
Oh, I did see that
171.
recently. Yeah, just recently.
Just, how about for a pizza and a soda doing our banks or whatnot? I think he had the guy almost talked into it. You know Clay, he's always trying to pull a swap.
That's good.
Apron paving. Do you have any aprons in mind? I have two.
What do you have in mind?
Out here and at the dump.
Yeah, the one at the dump is gonna be that business.
I mean, the cars pull wide, and it's just a thought, so maybe a company who does Lang Pond Road. I realize there's some prep work and stuff like that, so.
Yep, well, we try to do that a lot of times, because I think we can do it for, a smaller amount of money than they can. But I don't always have to do it that way too, we can have them do it.
I'm jumping around. Road striping,
We talked about that.
and it's going to be done after the paving, right?
Yeah, I did talk to the vendor who did it last year, just saying, I felt very disappointed with you guys last year. He said, I will take care of you this year, I promise.
Are there any more roads we should be thinking of doing?
I don't know,
I mean,
they're handy, I like them.
For example, at some point, we're gonna repave and grind and repave a Federal Corner Road, right? That's a lot of traffic. I think it would make sense to put stripes there. And at my TAC meetings, they talk about this is the greatest invention. It calms traffic. A perfect example is on Ham Hill, opposite Dame Road on Ledge Hill Road. Every year, you were rebuilding that corner. It's been 2 years.
Because the traffic kept driving off.
That's right. And the trucks would, and the trailers and whatnot. I mean,
It got better for sure.
everything that you campaigned for, and I know at the TAC committee, that they campaigned for.
I just have a caveat here. I mean, striping may end up being part of the budget for winter maintenance. You have to, at some point in time, stop spending money in order to take care of everything that we're gonna have to take care of in the fall. And Jim is 40% of his winter budget away from that number right now.
Yep.
So it'd be great to stripe all the roads, it'd be great to do all the aprons, it'd be great to do a lot of stuff. But I really think we need to look at
A little
We're
bit,
gonna-
a little off everything maybe.
Yeah.
I
as-
back it 100% what he's saying.
As bad as not having striping at all for a year might be, it's,
We gotta get a handle on that.
yeah,
winter maintenance.
so we say, okay, now we got stumps, and they're a safety hazard for plowing. We got stripes, and they're a general benefit.
That's
but
also great for
which-
plowing too.
But which one is the greater hazard, and if it comes down to that. And I don't even remember how much we have in the
Well, on
budget
your
for
new
striping.
paving, you have to do your boglands anyway, so I mean, you've got a certain amount of striping you're gonna do
Yep.
premised upon the paving. But reestablishing old stripes, I think we should have another chat as we move
Exactly.
forward.
Okay.
Is the guy gonna break up the big rock on Durgan Road so the plow isn't hitting it anymore, or is that?
I'm hoping it's
Isn't
happening
that a
as we speak.
national monument of some kind,
Yeah.
that was
And
consecrated?
I noticed that the cones are gone, Zadida Farms. I saw a 10-wheeler pull in, almost to go in the ditch. Remember, the culvert needs
Yeah.
to be exchanged? And here again, I don't know if there's money in the budget this year.
Yeah, that wasn't something that we had planned on,
No.
that's for sure.
So someone picked up your cones, because the trucks are coming, the 10-wheelers are coming up and turning right there.
And the power company's gonna do some work on Phineas Graves Road. I remember looking at the map where they were doing some pole work.
Well, they had those trees marked on Union Wharf,
Yeah.
which again, those stumps should be done, they
I
cut
think
those.
Phineas Graves is.
I saw a fluorescent
What color paint are they using?
Yep.
Fluorescent orange?
Yes.
Because I saw an X on Durgan Road too.
On one of the trees.
Yep, I think opposite
Hunt.
Hunt's.
Oh. Good.
Unit North has tires, hose, and a broken pole.
On Union Wharf itself,
Yes.
there's a broken hole. Oh, and that, okay.
Pilot.
Pilot.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
confused
just
with those.
laying there. I saw a car back over it the other day, so
Oh, really?
I tried to.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, no success.
thank you for your guys picking up the gravel. It's appreciated. We've hit you with a whole lot here. Would it be appropriate for, to maybe meet 2 times a month, so you bring in 2 things that are important in your mind and 2 things that are important, so, you know, we're not dumping, or, you know, it is overwhelming. You know, trying to think of what's best for you and just a thought,
Possibly.
so.
How about we at least talk about it 2 weeks, so try to see where we are with everything.
Okay.
And see if we have a grip, a little bit of grip on stuff.
There's other thing, and this is a compliment to you. When you discuss and explain things, it's amazing how many people see it on camera. And the public has been complimentary about, you know, your style and your approach, and that makes sense after all.
So that's great.
Right.
I've never seen it on TV, we don't get that channel.
Right. Well, you know, the point is that those comments get back to me. So
That's great.
anything else for our road agent?
Good.
Thank you. We'll let you get back to the wars.
All right.
Yeah, go up and see if that rock is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Travel safe. Anything else for us to go over? This work
Do
session?
you wanna do the minutes today, or not?
As far as I'm concerned, we'll do them next meeting,
All right,
Yeah,
okay?
that's fine.
doesn't look like we have anything else we have to handle. So.
Yeah, there is one other thing you gotta get a signature from me, because I'm already digging and I'm gonna get in trouble
Yeah.
with Jack. So, if you would mind. Taking a look at my building permit. I'm not gonna sign it.
Oh, all right. Well, he's the guy that signs them, we just
Yeah,
indicate that we've seen them.
Peruse them.
So, oh, you're not, Pam's doing it, not you. huh?
Pam's doing it, yep, she's doing
And
it.
did she hire a good guy to do it?
No, she's doing it herself. Senior staff.
She get you doing it for her?
Yeah.
Cheap help?
Yeah, free. I'll try not to make the same mistake that I made.
Put the doors on the back.
Yeah.
No, he made a comment on television the other day about African-American workers own houses.
Who's this?
Bill Maher.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Anything else to come before the board? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Oh, did we? Okay.
Everyone have a...
Forget about public comment.
I
We don't get
apologize.
any.
I apologize.
My only thing is, did you get everything done that you had to, because it's gonna be another.
It's gonna be a month before we get back here.
Before it all builds up again.
There's no meeting on Monday, right?
We
That's
don't?
it, right now for us.
We have Monday off?
We do.
We get something done.
The only question I had was when they were gonna start paving, so I guess that's
Yeah.
I
next
think
week.
it won't be today.